everyone. Jason Hagholm here, and we're gonna do something a little bit different today. Where normally I interview mixed martial artists, but today I'm interviewing one of the top prospects out on the independent wrestling scene. This is heavyweight hustle, Calvin Tankman. And the reason I brought Calvin in is Calvin this Saturday night is going to be in the co-main event at Bloodsport 4, promoted by Josh Barnett, taking on Harry Smith Jr., the son of the British Bulldog. Calvin, thanks for joining me, and looking forward to talking to you, man.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, Calvin, it's once again another blood sport that you're on, but co-main event this time. First of all, how excited are you for this blood sport concept? Because this shoot style wrestling is really starting to take off on the independents, and working against a guy like the British Bulldog's son, Harry Smith Jr. That's got to be a big thrill for you.
Definitely. Knowing where he comes from, the training he's had. He's a top caliber athlete. Anybody would be excited for an opportunity to test themselves.
Yeah, I think we're all excited for it, and obviously with his background and everything. But this isn't your first blood sport. You were on the last blood sport. What is something you learned from Bloodsport 3 that you'll take into Bloodsport 4 to help get the match more interesting, I guess?
Get more comfortable. The last time it took me a little bit to kind of like settle in because it was my first time, and it was an opportunity that I'd really wanted for a while since I started running these type of shows. And then obviously you're on a roster full of the most talented, from professional wrestling to mixed martial arts and everything in between. That's headlined by somebody namesake Josh Barnett, who I grew up watching fighting. I grew up listening to him on commentary, hearing him commentate on pro wrestling and do pro wrestling. So being able to do that was something that really puts the nerves in you, but then once you're out there, it kind of just happens. So really, I just have to focus and buckle down. I know what to expect now. There's no newness anymore, so it's just time to get to work.
You mentioned, obviously, Josh Barnett. He's putting these on with his great history, not only MMA, but pro wrestling. Did you get a chance to talk to Josh? And, what kind of knowledge has he passed on to you? Because, this, as I said, this shoot style stuff's really starting to take off.
Yeah. So I did get to talk to Josh on the first show. It was a little brief beforehand, but then afterward, he pulled me to the side, told me some things to work on, but he said overall, he was really pleasantly surprised with what I brought to the table. He knew that I brought some things to the table, but there was a little bit extra because like a lot of people don't know, even through middle school and high school, I had a shoot wrestling background. I've done some MMA training, never fought, but I do have a little bit of training, maybe not as much as Harry Smith and some of these other guys, but I still know how to throw a punch and there's some power behind it. So I think that was what impressed him the most, with my athletic ability at my size and the fact that I surprised him with how much I really knew.
Yeah, I've been listening to some interviews from you from the past that, you to stay active, I guess, after your football career you put on the back burner. You were doing the MMA training, but did you ever think about fighting?
Definitely. And it really came down to, I was walking around at 330 pounds. I didn't want to commit to the weight cut. Ultimately, it's something I've always wanted to dip my toe in. Always something that I respected. Had a lot of friends from my hometown that fought, and so I grew up. Even people, a guy I went to church with was the first person I knew that was a fighter. I was 14, and he was trying to get me to go to training with him just to learn, and my dad wouldn't sign off on the paperwork. So, yeah, so it's always been a part of me and close to me. Combat sports in general is always something I love.
And I guess right now you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, where you get to show off your athleticism with, traditional professional wrestling style, but these shoot style matches, you kind of get to add that little bit physicality. Like how awesome is that for you to not only get to do that, but that this style, as we said, is really starting to take over. And, for an MMA fan that used to, has maybe fallen out of wrestling, they can come back in with this shoot style that has really taken off.
It's a unique opportunity that a lot of people don't have. I wouldn't say that I'm the leader of anything, but the fact that I'm on these shows with all these guys, and the show in general in a whole is starting to bring this back. is something that you can't really put like a price on. It's something that I'll be proud of for the rest of my life that I got this opportunity. So really now um, it's just um, no, I don't want to say overwhelming, but it's exciting to think about, what we started, the buzz that's happening, or not what I started, but what Josh started, and that Josh has given me an opportunity to become a small part of that, and who knows what it could become. So as it starts to gain popularity, it's just really exciting, and really with these opportunities, I think I got to show a lot of people what I'm capable of, and that I'm very versatile. Whether it's shoot style, lucha, any type of wrestling you want to put me in there, any type of combat sports you want to put me in there. I want to hang with the best of them. So
I've been looking at some quotes of you, and you said that you want to try to revolutionize the industry, kind of like what Big Van Vader did back in the day. And I guess, obviously we know Vader, he was a super athletic guy and, a Hall of Fame, one of the greatest of all times. Like, how much of Vader did you get to see growing up? Because you are like, born in what, 1995? So like, how much did you get?
Yeah.
94. So okay. So how much did you get to see of him? And Vader's history as well is in that shoot-based style as well with like UWFI. So did you kind of feel it was important for you, if you want to establish that legacy, to do these, blood sports or UWFI rule type matches?
Really, I don't think that it came as part of the legacy, me wanting to be a part of these. I think once these were announced and these were a thing, and I was already in professional wrestling, it's like, okay, this is right up my alley. This is something I'd definitely be interested in. But on the first half of your question, really, I didn't get to see too much of Vader at the time when I was a child. Really, I got into Vader later on as I got older, and I really got into the business. And I started watching all of his older All Japan stuff, and then I found his shoot style stuff. So like, really, it was seeing the way that Vader still showed his athleticism, but at the end of the day, he was still a 350-pound monster and smack you in the face and knock you out. Like, I want to be able to showcase the best of both worlds, and really, like, he's the one. I mean, he's the biggest one, but like other guys also, like Bam Bam, even to Samoa Joe in more recent times. Like, he was a guy that when you look at him, he doesn't look like your typical professional wrestler. He is also very martial arts based. But when he goes out there, that flip switches, and you realize really quick that he's legitimate. And the size doesn't matter because he's just as athletic as anybody you put in front of him. So a lot of those guys is what I try and like jumble up and use to kind of piece together who I am as a professional wrestler.
Is it important for you to showcase that, right? Because when you come out there, people just think, oh, he's just a big guy, gonna rely on, a couple power moves, a power bomb here and there, but then there you are hitting like Hurricane Ranas and moonsaults and stuff like that, which just blow people's minds away. Like the first time I saw Vader, or even a Keith Lee for that matter. And I think obviously you're the next generation of that kind of a guy right now, Calvin.
Thank you. That means a lot, man. Thank you.
Yeah, well, hey, I've always been a fan of the big agile guys. Like, I know, like when I was growing up, Vader was a heel, but to me, you can't boo a 400-pound man doing a moonsault. Like, that's just way too awe-inspiring to hate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Calvin, as well, like, I just want to know, because like you're right now working a lot for GCW, which is like the hottest indie promotion going right now. What's it like to be working on the independent scenes with not only these shoot style shows, but working right now back on the indies after, during as well a pandemic and getting shows in there that have had some fans?
It's different, and I can't tell you that every time you leave the house you don't think about it. But at the end of the day, us and the companies that we're working for are doing the best they can to try and make this as safe as possible. We got to get tests within 72 hours of being there, and then when we get there, take a test again. You know what I mean? So they're doing the best socially distancing, and it really gives a lot of us an opportunity to, I guess, like when you are an artist or like a combat sports person or in general, just an athlete in general, when you don't have a chance to showcase your craft or do your craft, that is that's therapy to us. You know what I mean? It's the same thing like Mike Tyson was talking. The reason he came back to fighting is because he felt like he wasn't the same animal. Like he missed that feeling. It's the same thing that we've had during COVID. So really, it's a blessing in disguise. With everything that's going on for us wrestlers personally, is like we get that therapy again. We get that release, and then also like as crazy as it is, I've had my best professional wrestling year during a pandemic, which is crazy. And I mean, I've worked hard and like was waiting for my opportunity. I just didn't expect it to happen during the pandemic. But when that opportunity calls, you got to go for it because you never know when you're going to have that opportunity again.
Yeah, I was gonna say in like October, you had like what 10 matches or something like that in a short period of time, and I think really helped get the eyeballs on you. And then as well, Calvin, you signed with MLW, which is a promotion that's got some of the best talent in the world, some great distribution. What's that meant for you, and what was the process like signing with MLW as your first real major promotion that you've been working with?
Um, it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about, but it's weird because I'm a different type of person. So like, I feel like I should be celebrating more than what I am. But once I signed that contract in my head, it was like, all right, I've done that. What's next? Like, you know what I mean? I got to keep pushing to the next level. I'm here now. Didn't think I'd get here. Let's see how far I can push and see what comes next. So like, really, as soon as I signed, there was that excitement. There was those jitters because also like, I signed in May. They didn't announce my signing until the end of June, almost July. So I had almost 2 months where I couldn't tell anybody but my parents.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like waiting and waiting. And there's that excitement then, like, I'm still contacting Court. He's sending me shirts. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is cool. But there's that excitement. I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to actually get an opportunity to show what I can do and get to work. And then, like, as soon as I got in there, everybody treated me very well, well organized, well run, and it was time for me to get to work. You know what I mean? So really, it's a dream come true, but I'm not done. I don't want to hang my hat on here and say, well, here's where I am. There's so much more to do. I'm gonna. Anytime I step in the ring, I want to show what I'm worth, but I also want to help any company that wants to work with me and wants to support me and has really has a I don't want to say like pushes for me, but like somebody that like really cares about me, really understands, and really believes in me. There's the word I'm looking for. There's a lot of people that like say they believe in you, but there's few people that actually put the work in to show you that they believe in you. And so the fact that they believe in me, man, it makes me want to not only raise my own star, but raise the star of the company as best that I can. And it's the same thing with GCW, man. They were the first like top tier indie to give me an opportunity and say, here's a scramble match, show us what you can do. And so it's the same thing with them. They've done nothing but treat me well. They've been nothing but great. We just did a show called Fight Forever, a 24-hour live stream where they raised $53,000 and they donated it to all the wrestlers. Brett and GCW didn't have to do that, but he put that together for us because he cared about us. So it's the same thing. Both two really great companies with some of the best, most talent-filled rosters that you can find anywhere. And I'm just really blessed and excited to be working with both of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously right now things are working out. And as you said, you're on that 24-hour show for GCW. What was that experience like, a 24-hour wrestling show? Like, that's something that you don't really see often. And I mean, the stream seemed to go off pretty well as well.
It was something. For me personally, I wrestled twice. And one match was on at like 10:30 and the next match was on at 8 a.m. Once I got to the venue at 4 p.m., the first night, I did not leave until everything was done. and I didn't sleep. I slept in the car for the last like 3 hours of the show. So really, I was just up all night like a monster, like you're on. Tired as hell, but really still excited to be doing that, and was thankful for the opportunity and the blessing that GCW gave us to donate to all of us.
Yeah, I think that it was a really cool concept. And I mean, for, a fan like me that'll still check in on the outside, it was like something was done. I can just pop in and see what's going on with GCW. And like, so I did like to see that. And obviously GCW, they announced that they're running a set of shows once again for Mania Weekend in Tampa. And obviously you hope to be on that. And, that's kind of exciting. Nice to see the indies getting going again, because COVID put that whole thing on hold. And so many promotions, we're not even sure about the status of if they can even come back.
Yeah, uh, it's exciting as they're like as now that we have a vaccine and they're starting to get that pumped out. It may take till the end of summer, from what we're hearing, for us to actually get everyone taken care of. But as we slowly start to open up, it's nice to know that there's still indie wrestling, and like you would think that if every indie promotion had to shut the doors down for a year. And especially the companies that invested so much money into Mania Weekend last year, they got canceled. Yeah. Those were tens of thousands of dollars that was lost that they couldn't get back. So for them to bounce back in the way that they have is really impressive. And it like I said, it's like all these things that get you excited for what the future holds. Because if we can keep this buzz and we can keep people interested and make people care during a pandemic, then I feel like we can do just about anything we set our minds to.
Yeah, I think everyone's excited to see what can happen with, indie shows working again, because that to me is the most exciting part. Obviously, Mania is the big deal, but I love seeing the talent that you're going to be seeing on the mainstream really have their moments shine out. Like we saw a couple years ago, PCO really had a moment where he was able to, get a Ring of Honor deal out of his Mania Weekend run. And that's something that I'm excited to see get going again. But Calvin as well, like, what does the future hold for you? What are your goals for the future? I know you had a WWE tryout in 2019, and obviously that may be the end goal for you, but it seems like you want to have a little bit of fun, and there's other places you like to work before you sign a long-term deal with a major company like WWE or AEW.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really know, but I'm open to everything. Like, I definitely would love to wrestle in Japan. That's a goal. I want to wrestle in Mexico also. That's a goal. And the UK. Anywhere that there's great professional wrestling that I can learn from some of the best that I can't learn from at home, that's where I want to be. So really, right now, I'm with MLW for the time being, and we'll kind of see what happens. But just be checking. Maybe when the borders open up, we might see some international stuff. Maybe not. We might see some other stuff. So really just keep your eyes peeled, because, I mean, really, it's hard to set anything in stone to know what's going on for me personally when there's a pandemic. So who knows exactly? But I'm definitely excited to see what happens.
Yeah, like I said, obviously there's a pandemic, and myself guiltily, I'd love to see you come work here in Canada once that Canada-US border can open up. But I mean, it just seems like you're having fun with it. And I think a lot of young people don't enjoy the process, right? They kind of just want to get their stuff in and then, sign that major deal. You are just enjoying everything right now, having fun in GCW and, the stuff you're doing right now in MLW. And there's a lot of options out there, but you're taking your time. And I think that's a valuable lesson for a lot of young talent.
Yeah. And it's really comes from realizing the grind that other people went through, because when I was in high school, that's when I really became like an independent wrestling fan. And to be honest, the first independent wrestler that I ever saw that was my favorite was Ruckus. He used to wrestle for CZW back in the day. World traveled, one of the best I've seen. And seeing all the places and all the sites that he'd seen without signing a major deal. And all the other wrestlers that I see now that have major deals that have done so much in their career without going there. I guess I'm just not necessarily in a rush. Whatever happens, happens. And really, I'm just blessed to be doing what I do, because, I mean, this dream started out for me 3 years old, wrestling my cousin, flexing my muscles, saying big Papa Pump lines. You know what I mean? So to wrestling on a tarp when we were 8 years old in my friend's backyard to this now. So I just love professional wrestling. I love athletics. I love combat sports in general. So I mean, really, there's no I want to work for this company or I want to do this. For me, I just want to be happy providing for my family, doing what I love. If I can wake up every day and be content with what I'm doing and love what I'm doing, then I'm a happy man. As long as my daughter's fed, I'm definitely happy. So
I think that's a solid model for anyone, any family man, not just anyone in pro wrestling or combat sports. But Calvin, as before I let you go, as this is pretty much, we interview a lot of MMA fighters here and whatnot. Do you follow much MMA? Because there is a big pay-per-view this weekend with Kamaru Usman defending against Gilbert Burns. And I'd love just a prediction from you before I let you go.
Ooh. Honestly, I can't give you the most educated opinion on this one, only because within the last 6 months to a year, I've been busier with wrestling. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and watch a full show and watch everybody and see what happens. So, man, I like Usman, but I'll go with him because I'm comfortable with him. But I don't know enough about the challenger to know to say definitively. But I mean, to me, I can't necessarily bet away from Usman. I love him. So
yeah, I think, you know what, most people are picking Usman. So even if you don't know much about Gilbert Burns, a former teammate, but nonetheless, Usman right now is carving out a legacy that's on the verge of being Hall of Fame worthy right now. So a solid pick right now for you, Calvin. I can see where you would go with Usman.
Well, thank you. I try. I'm never gonna speak out of turn and try and sound educated if I don't know enough about the subject. So I don't know enough about the opponent.
Fair enough. Fair enough. As you said, you have been trying to create your story right now in the world of pro wrestling right now. So, but before I let you go, Calvin, I give you the last word. Where can people follow you on social media? Can they find you? Because as we've said, you're one of the hottest prospects right now on the independent scene.
Twitter, at Calvin Tankman, Instagram under the same handle at Calvin Tankman, Facebook.com/Calvin Tankman 1. I've got stuff on Pro Wrestling Tees, t-shirts there.
Yep.
Some of my favorite prints done by my boy Heel Boy Dan on Twitter. Dude's amazing. On doublehell.com, we got some Biggie Smalls inspired t-shirts on there. Those are some of my favorites. And then also MLW has some t-shirts for me, also on MLW Shop. So if you want to support me, those are the 3 places to support me, and all my social media handles.
All right, Calvin. Well, thank you for sitting down and not only promoting your upcoming Bloodsport fight up against Harry Smith Jr., but talking about the journey as a whole, because I'm always fascinated by the world of professional wrestling, especially on the independent scene right now. So best of luck as your future continues. And hopefully I get to talk to you again, Calvin, with a lot more success in your back pocket.
Definitely. I'll be looking forward to it.
All right, Calvin. That's Calvin Tankman. That's heavyweight hustle, Calvin Tankman.
Yes, sir.